beginning, there is ocean. Silent waters span the ages. Within the darkness of creation, a new dream rises from the sea. Rock that seethes with molten power. Earth is warmed by golden light. Colors paint the sky with laughter. Dawn that brings a clear, sweet song. Beloved islands of my fathers, your spirit is forever blessed. Your name, a tender sigh, a simple prayer, Hawaii.
The island of Kauai is fringed by miles of sun-drenched beach. Deep rainforests lie in its interior. The magic of Kauai is in the perfumed night. The power of Waimea Canyon. The poetry of spouting horn at sunset. The grace of the birds at Kilauea. And Hanalei drawn in a veil of wonder. It is written, beautiful is Kauai beyond compare. She renews my strength in her soft petals.
The island of Kauai was born over 10 million years ago. At its center is Mount Waialeale, the last remnant of Kauai's major volcano. Its summit is perhaps the wettest spot on Earth. The interior of the volcano is the Alakai, home for rare Hawaiian birds and plants. It's a forest in the sky, unique throughout the world.
Hanalei Valley on Kauai's northern coast sparkles in the morning's first light. Hawaiian taro has grown in these fields for generations. Hanalei is old style with a wild imagination. Perched atop a rocky cliff above a brilliant sea, the lighthouse at Kilauea, a marine bird sanctuary on Kauai's eastern coast.
Flowing waters from Mount Waialeale feed the Wailua River. Its name, means sacred waters. The Wailua is Hawaii's only navigable river. At the river's end is Fern Grotto, a popular tourist attraction carved out of the forest. The resorts at Wailua offer nighttime entertainment.
The waters of Wailua, the southern shores of Poipu. Days bloom like garden flowers. The past is still remembered. Kauai's heart speaks simply. Her truth is unadorned. Listen to the cry of the spouting horn, relentless despair, both night and day. A magical lizard mourns the death of his sister. An underground lava tube forces up spray.
At the west end of Kauai, the land rises to meet Waimea Canyon, threshold to the interior of the island. Long ago, a river carved the steep canyon walls from volcanic rock. Geologic history is written with each layer of lava. Feral goats roam Waimea's dry, rocky cliffs. The power of Waimea Canyon courses through rock, dances in the wind. Above Waimea Canyon, the road leads to the Ohia forests of Kokei State Park. The summit has a spectacular view of Kalalau Valley. Changes in weather mark the passage of time.
The Napali Coast forms northwest Kauai. Steep cliffs and deep gorges etched in rock, sculpted by rain and relentless sea. Napali is wilderness in perfect isolation. The solitude of this untamed place, rising remote as the edge of the world, belongs to the earth and the wild sea.
The island of Oahu is the third largest in the Hawaiian chain. Oahu is the gathering place for Hawaii's people, business, and government. The city of Honolulu, located on Oahu, is the urban center of the Pacific. The pulse of life is faster here. Honolulu has grown from a plantation outpost to a handsome city lined with broad avenues and gleaming high-rises. The ocean has always been part of its life, history, and color. Honolulu is a mild and mellow city. People of different ways and means live side by side. Honolulu is a beautiful city. Soft trade winds sweep across the rooftops. The sky is vast and clear. The night air sweet with plumeria. But the treasure most dear to this island home is the poetic grace of her people. Every year, Hawaii welcomes more than 4.5 million visitors, and Waikiki is a very good host.
A sunset sail in calm coastal waters is a fine way to view the skyline of Waikiki. Relax in a warm Hawaiian style. Return to the color and excitement of Waikiki by night.
Sunday morning, December 7th, 1941. Japan staged a surprise attack on the U.S. naval base at Pearl Harbor. Within 2 hours, 18 ships were devastated. 2,400 men were dead. The USS Arizona took a direct hit, sinking in less than 9 minutes. There were 1,102 men on board the Arizona. All of them went down with her. The Arizona Memorial spans the sunken hull of the battleship. The men who defended her with their lives are honored. Over 40 years have passed since the day of infamy. Yet oil from the Arizona continues to rise. Victory is quiet in the ashes of destruction.
Punchbowl Crater is the site of the National Memorial Cemetery of the Pacific. Here lie more than 21,000 servicemen who fought in World Wars I and II, Korea, and Vietnam.
Rugged cliffs, brisk winds, and pounding surf. The southeastern coast of Oahu. An extinct volcanic crater eroded into the calm, protected waters of Hanauma Bay. Hanauma is a marine preserve with a spectacular coral reef for snorkeling. Breaking waves sometimes cause sea geysers at Halona Blowhole. Nearby sandy beach usually means bone-crushing shore break. Body surfing here is an art form. Around the corner, Makapu'u is the perfect crescent of beach. The water is a world-class boogie boarding spot.
"1,200 feet above the sea, the sheer cliffs of Makapu'u are called Hang Glider's Heaven. Below the cliffs is Sea Life Park, a fantastic journey to the world of the ocean. Its Hawaiian Reef, its performing artists, its local residents, its athletes, and assorted friends.
The history of Hawaii is recorded in a small area of Honolulu. Kamehameha the Great, the Lonely One, conquered and ruled all of Hawaii. His power built the Hawaiian monarchy. Christianity in Hawaii was based at the mission house built in 1821. Kawaihau Church, built of coral, united the Hawaiian spirit and Christianity. Iolani Palace was the home of Queen Liliuokalani, the last ruler of Hawaii. The Hawaiian monarchy was overthrown in 1893 by American sugar planters. Friday concerts by the Royal Hawaiian Band are a souvenir of the past. The Bishop Museum probably has the finest collection of Hawaiian artifacts in the world.
About 400,000 immigrants have come to Hawaii over the course of 80 years. It is written, all these strange people live close to each other, with different languages and different thoughts. Two passions alone they share, love and hunger. From the cool heights of Nu'uanu Valley, the land rises in the east to the Ko'olau Mountains, once part of a huge volcano. Morning shadows play across the fluted peaks, or pulleys. Moist green valleys are nurtured by rain. Cliffs are swept by mist and wind. Water falls like tears down faces of rock. The panorama from the windy Nu'uanu Pali Lookout spans the windward coast of Oahu.
Located on Oahu's northeastern coast, the Polynesian Cultural Center is a voyage of discovery to the peoples of the Pacific.
Eyes and mouth and the nose with the tongue sticking out. And to crack it open, look for the line that runs between the eyes. Try and locate the line that runs right between the eyes. That's the weakest and the softest part of the coconut.
Island traditions are shared with friendship and warmth. The complex is located on the Hawaii campus of Brigham Young University. The artistry of Polynesia is celebrated in nightly performances. Oahu's central plain is planted in pineapple and sugar. The Waianae Mountains rise to the west. Along the northern coast is Haleiwa, a quiet country town with a sense of style. The northern shore of Oahu is the surfing mecca of Hawaii. Each winter, the surf rises to monstrous proportions. Champions gather here to challenge the North Shore waves.
The hula kahiko, the ancient dance of Hawaii, performed at Waimea Falls Park. The balanced movements and fluid rhythms tell the story of a rare and exotic bird. Waimea Falls Park lies within the sacred valley of Waimea on the north shore of Oahu. The old Hawaiian ways are preserved. Waimea Falls Park is exotic, historic, a tropical paradise with attractions for every flight of fancy. The joy of living in every moment. Hawaii smiles for the loving heart. The day is dressed in crimson and gold. The sky glows with the fires of sunset. And tender promises whispered in the night are reflected in the lights of Honolulu.
Across the channel is Molokai, a small island where the feeling is country.
A narrow road twists and turns along the southeastern coast. Life has changed little here. Time goes by slowly. At the road's end is Halawa Valley. Its waterfalls are unforgettable.
The beaches are vast and isolated in the dry West End. There's open space and time for simple pleasures. The Molokai Ranch Wildlife Park offers prime-time entertainment. Visitors may ride a mule train to the National Historic Monument of Kalaupapa on Molokai's northern coast. The wind moans softly. The land is steeped in suffering.
The horror of leprosy struck Honolulu in the 19th century. The Hawaiian people were particularly vulnerable. Many were forcibly exiled by the government to this windswept peninsula on the northern coast of Molokai. They were left to fend for themselves without provisions. Father Damien, a Belgian missionary, came to the lepers of Kalaupapa. He cared for their souls and their bodies, till he himself died of leprosy 16 years later. From the cruelty of life comes our compassion. From bitter defeat, our endurance. From anguish, pain, our strength. And from death comes eternal beauty. Travel to the island of valleys, where days are languid and beauty is tender. The dawn unfolds in glory as Haleakala awakens. Blue waters shine like crystal as humpbacks winter off Lahaina. The high country glistens, a soft palette of velvet. In the glow of perfection, the island of Maui.
Lying along Maui's northwestern coast, Ka'anapali is a taste of the good life. Developed as a complete destination resort, the Ka'anapali complex includes hotels, shops, golf, sunlit beaches, and warm ocean waters. The Sugar Train, an 1890s replica, runs a 6-mile course from Ka'anapali to Lahaina. They were called the palmy days of whaling, the mid-1800s. Lahaina was a major port then, and for a while, the royal capital. During a good year, hundreds of whalers would lay in provisions and recruit Hawaiian sailors. The whalers hunted the abundant sperm whale, the best source for oil. They warred with the missionaries, also newcomers to Hawaii. The discovery of petroleum put an end to whaling's palmy days. But Lahaina's frontier spirit has survived, and her diversity is her strength.
The humpback whales leave the Arctic at the onset of winter. They return to the warm waters of Hawaii and linger till spring. The humpbacks come to mate, give birth, and to nurse their young. Although few in number, they exist in infinite grace, and all the wonders of the world cannot compare to their majesty.
Maui, the second largest island, was created by 2 separate volcanoes. Pu'ukukui, the smaller and older of the two, has eroded into the West Maui Mountains with its incredible gorges. Its volcanic crater lies within the luxuriant Iao Valley, dominated by the stark Iao Needle. Iao Valley State Park offers cool refreshment under the hot tropical sun. The views are inspiring. Ho'okipa means hospitality. Ho'okipa State Park treats her friends to some of the best windsurfing on Maui. The northern town of Paia was once the largest sugar mill town on Maui. It exists now as the last stop before the long, winding road to Hana in the east.
Clear mountain pools, reflections of tranquility, the hush of the rainforest, rich fragrance of the jungle. The narrow Hana Highway snakes along the coast of verdant valleys, hidden streams, coursing waterfalls, and rocky arches that span the sea. To the land of rain and low-lying sky, Hana, the heart of Hawaii. Cleansed with the white rains of dawn, Hana embraces the sky, the earth, and the sea.
From Hana, the road leads to the 7 pools of Kipahulu and the countryside where Charles Lindbergh spent his last days. It is written on his gravestone, "If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the utmost parts of the sea." Across the island, on the dry western coast, are the golden beaches of Makena, and further north, the resort of Wailea.
On the slopes of Haleakala, surrounded by a sapphire sea, the fertile land of upcountry, a still life watercolor, wine vineyards and rare protea, Hawaiian cowboys called paniolos. The golden sunlight is softer here, the wind fragrant with mountain flowers.
Haleakala volcano rises over 10,000 feet. Its massive summit crater is nearly the size of Manhattan Island. The spiked silver sword, rare and fragile, grows on its slopes. Haleakala is dormant. The last eruption occurred in 1790. Mark Twain said of Haleakala, "It was the sublimest spectacle I ever witnessed. I think the memory of it will remain with me always."
Morning has come to Haleakala. The light is cast in gold and silver, in gleaming shadows and swirling visions. Walls are dressed in soft green velvet. Days are wisps of timelessness. We have entered the chamber of the volcano and gazed on the face that cannot be known. Our dreams are forged in volcanic fires. Our thoughts flow into the universe.
West of Maui and south of Molokai is Lanai, the smallest of the 6 Hawaiian islands. The hills are studded with Norfolk pine. The plains belong to pineapple. Jim Dole made Lanai the largest pineapple plantation in the world.
The sands of Manele shimmer in sunlight. The sky is bathed in softness. Spirits of the past roam shipwrecked beach. Quiet comfort, sweet caress. Days float by in a dream. Lanai has grace and simplicity.
The first Hawaiian settlers were a strong, proud seafaring people. They had left the islands of Polynesia in double-hulled canoes, navigating by the stars. Over 2,000 miles they sailed, long before the celebrated voyages of the Vikings. A strict system of kapu, or taboos, governed life in ancient Hawaii. A commoner could not walk in the chief's footsteps. Women could not prepare meals for men or eat with them. Breaking a kapu meant death, unless the offender reached a pu'uhonua, a sanctuary. Pu'uhonua o Honaunau, known as the City of Refuge, was a sanctuary protected by spiritual power, a sacred place of forgiving.
Larger than all the other islands combined, Hawaii is also known as the Big Island. On its western side is the sparkling Kona Coast, luxury resorts, heady fragrances, ripe coffee beans, the sizzle of the tropics. Lovely white sand beaches fringe the Kona Coast. The day is easy. The mood is relaxed. Time softly glides over the coolness of the evening. Forever bound to the ocean, Kailua Kona is a fishing town. The big game fishing off Kona's deep coastal waters is some of the world's best.
A sail along the Kona coast leads to Kealakekua Bay, a marine preserve with brilliant coral gardens. Kealakekua means the pathway of the gods. The arrival of Captain James Cook in 1778 marked Hawaii's first contact with Western civilization. The Hawaiian people here at Kealakekua revered the white men as gods, lavished them with gifts, and felt betrayed to find them mere mortals. A monument commemorates the site where the two groups warred and Cook met a violent death.
The cool, silvery heights of the Saddle area winds its way through native forests to the slopes of Mauna Kea. Rising over 13,000 feet, Mauna Kea White Mountain is the tallest island mountain in the world. Native Hawaiian forests grow on its slopes. Astronomy is studied at its summit. Skiers glide down volcanic rock that was once covered by a glacier. Its massive sister, Mauna Loa, rises to the south. When daylight comes to Mauna Kea, she casts her giant shadow against the dawn. Rivers of snow, designs that sweep across black stillness. At the summit of Mauna Kea, the truth lies within. The soul is set free.
In the shadow of Mauna Kea is the grace of Waimea and Kohama, ranch lands veiled in rolling mists, changing patterns of sunlight and shadow. Technology mingles with old traditions. Life is rooted in strength, tranquility, and kindness.
Waipio Valley, at the northeastern tip of the island, carved out of the Kohala Mountains. Steep walls surround Waipio. The valley floor is accessible by jeep. Stream beds serve as roads. The people of Waipio choose a free and rugged life. The curving waters of Hi'ilave reflect the loving heart and generous spirit of Waipio Valley. Tropical forests nourished by rainfall and sunlight. The Hamakua Coast on the eastern side, the windward side of Hawaii Island. The waters of Akaka plunge 400 feet to the valley floor.
With the flavor of Japan and an old-fashioned style, the quiet town of Hilo. Once a year, it hosts the finest hula competition in the world. Steam vents of Puna lies the genesis of power. The black sands of Kaimu awake refreshed in the dawn. The cinder cones of Kapoho, where the earth is young and growing. The sea along the Puna coast, wild, relentless, strong. Puna blooms with acres of flower nurseries. Hawaii is known as the Orchid Isle. Beauty unfolds in the sweet waters of Queen's Bath. From Puna, the Chain of Craters Road rises through landscape scarred by volcanic eruption to Kilauea Volcano. Sunlight, pure as spun gold. Morning gleams like diamonds. The day breaks in praise of Kilauea Volcano. Born less than 1 million years ago, she rises 22,000 feet above the ocean floor. Kilauea is alive. Her volcanic fires smolder. The Hawaiian people knew the terrible power of Kilauea. They called that power Pele, goddess of fire. She lives in the sacred pit of Halemaumau at the summit of Kilauea.
A change in pressure underground. The earth begins to tremble. An open crack glows crimson. Kilauea unleashes her fury. Billowing fountains of sulfuric gas, pillars of molten magma. White-hot streaks of liquid rock, shooting stars across the sky. Lava boils, surges, churns with the heat of a million fires. The crust of the earth shatters like glass, swept away in a burning torrent. The commandment of consuming fire. Kilauea is creator.
Farewell to you, O fragrance in the blue depths. One fond embrace, and I leave, until we meet again.
Aloha oi, e ke o nauna noho I kalipo. One fond embrace, a ho'i a e au, a hui ho aku.